All right, now we're going to talk about the finals. We're going to do this is the finals report card. We're grading all the players. Um, as you know, I'm not in a good mood, but we're going to do the show anyway, and we're going to do it right. So, Greg, kick us off. We're grading the finals, man. We're grading all the players. I think you said you wanted to start with Cleveland, so why don't you kick us off and start with the first player you wanted to grade? Go ahead, man.
Well, for me, the first player to grade is probably, well, it's split. It's between two of the easiest. I didn't give a lot of high marks for Cleveland because I feel like only four dudes really came to play on their whole roster, and part of that's the rotation. There's some things that could have been done to help what we know to be an already bad roster perform better, be more competitive. Sean Marion could have played some minutes. I don't really want to see Brendan Haywood. I think we said that in a previous episode.
Ooh, no.
Perkins, though, could have probably got some burn if you needed him to.
Perkins could have come out. He could have come out and laid the wood to somebody and then sat back down.
Seriously, so anyhow, yeah. But obviously, Marion should have got some minutes. Mike Miller probably should have played more, even though I didn't give him a good grade. When he played serious minutes, it became very apparent that he couldn't keep up with the pace of the game. So anyhow,
that's because he's not a professional basketball player anymore.
Yeah, and really, like we've talked about all this time, they really only have four on their roster, in my opinion. But so to kick it off, though, I'll start with a non-basketball player who did play a lot of minutes because he just had to, and that's James Jones. Wasn't impressed with anything he did. He had 3 scoreless games in that series, and this is a guy who averaged a bunch of minutes. Like he played 10, 12, 14, almost 20 minutes every game. And to come out and go donuts like 3 times in the finals, that means you didn't do enough to help the team. Even in your, I think he's 34 years old, something like that. He's been 11 years in the league, something like that. I looked it up earlier. I don't really exactly remember now, but you can't come out and do nothing. And then also he shot 31% from the field and had no other real stats. So it's not like he wasn't out there with the intention of being involved. He just wasn't productive. So I gave him a D. Maybe I'm grading a little too high, giving out too high marks. He didn't do anything especially wrong. I didn't think he warranted an F, and was called upon probably to do more than he was ever capable of. But I gave him a D.
Yeah, I gave him an F. I think, yeah, and it's this is just me being harsher than you. You saw the same things I did. I'm not going to pick apart your grade, but I think that warrants an F. Because in particular, and the reason that I gave him an F was the reason that I gave him an F was not only did he struggle to score because he's way past his prime, and this was really just a guy that's on the roster because he's LeBron's buddy, and LeBron wants him on the roster. Unfortunately, the incompetent clowns that run the Cleveland Cavaliers, he's one of their better players, unfortunately. He's a top 8 player on that team.
Yeah, he is.
And astoundingly, because not only can he not score, he can't guard his man without fouling. He just doesn't have the foot speed anymore. Really, all he can effectively do is stand still and shoot an open jump shot. It's not that he doesn't have one-on-one moves. He just can't make them anymore quickly enough. Mm-hmm. So I gave James Jones an F for those reasons. I'm not going to belabor the point. This is a guy that, again, he shouldn't have been playing, really. The fact that you're playing him means your roster's defective. And that's really – and I have no idea why they were playing him instead of Marion. I have no idea because I've watched Marion play this year. Marion is better than that. I have no idea why he was playing over Marion. But if you've got nothing else on James Jones, you can go on to the next player, man.
All right. Next dude on my list, the next lowest grade for me on that roster was J.R. Smith, to be honest. But I don't think that wasn't surprising to me. I'm not a J.R. Smith fan. I love watching his highlights when he's catching reverse oops through traffic and those games where he goes out and he hits 10 threes and took 12 and no one can touch him and he's shooting from 40 feet, beating buzzers and shot clocks and all that. That's fantastic, but that's just not indicative of who he really is on a game-to-game basis. I think what we got was pretty much the typical J.R. Smith, what I was certainly expecting going in, which is a dude who shot 31%, didn't play particularly good defense, made a lot of bad decisions in the late points of most games, to the point that he couldn't be on the floor or be functional on the floor. And in game 2, almost cost him the game, frankly. Helped him get that comeback. Help Golden State get the comeback by making a bunch of ridiculous fouls in the late going. Cleveland obviously ended up winning that game. But, it's one of those things where you got a guy who's out there, and he shot 31%, chucked up a bunch of threes, a bunch of games. Didn't like anything that he did. I didn't think he had one good game where he came to play and then flamed out and then didn't get any productivity in the second half. So yeah, I gave him a D+. But that's because best I could do for a guy who really, I think, hurt you more than he helped.
You're again, you've laid out the case very well. So I'm not going to quibble with that. F-, lowest possible grade. J.R. Smith I would cut J.R. Smith. Honestly, he's that bad a player. And here's the thing. J.R. Smith is a confusing case because he's a rare case where he's and pretty skilled, and yet horrible. And the reason he's bad is because he's brick stupid. He's one of the dumbest players in the league. He's brick stupid. Yeah. And to be clear about what I mean by he's dumb, this is what I mean. He cannot look at the floor and then make a decision based on what's going on in front of him. He can't do it. He's incapable. He thinks too slow. All he can do, and this is why he plays this way. This is why he plays the way he does now. He has decided that since he cannot keep up, he's checked out of thinking. He catches and fires wherever he is, or he takes a couple dribbles, doesn't get away from his man, and then shoots a step back. That's all he does. That's all he does. And like somebody has to tell him sometimes, why don't you go all the way to the rim? Try that. Like, he's a terrible basketball player. And you know what? And in today's NBA, being the type of guy he is, over the course of the season, he meets enough bums where he can eat them alive and then get his stats up. But what happened to him in this series? He shot 33% from the field because he was playing against real defense in a championship series. I have no use for this guy on my roster. He can't even run a play. You can't even run a play with him involved because he can't catch. Like Jeff Van Gundy said at one point, he drove to the basket and dished the ball to Mozgov and he scored. And Jeff Van Gundy said that J.R. Smith's an underrated passer. How many assists? Guess how many assists he averaged in the series?
Less than 2.
1.2.
That's about right.
He's an underrated passer. He's one of the worst passing shooting guards in basketball.
Maybe in history.
That doesn't make any sense. Saying J.R. Smith's an underrated passer is just foolish. That doesn't make any sense. It's not defensible by what you're looking at on screen. He's not a good. First of all, he doesn't pass, and when he does pass, he averaged 0.8 turnovers and 1.2 assists. That's nearly a 1 assist to turnover ratio. That's atrocious. That's like a center.
Yeah.
So J.R. Smith, and I wanted to spend a little more time on J.R. Smith because he's such an important part of the roster.
Yeah.
He has to go, and he has to go fast. He's terrible. He's a terrible player. And again, it's hidden by the fact that he's uniquely gifted in terms of his athletic ability and his skill set. But anybody else with that skill set would be going to the Hall. Anybody else. If I went over to my next door neighbors and bestowed them with a 40-inch vertical leap and the quick first step and the shooting range all the way out to the parking lot.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame. And you know what else about JR too, to show you what kind of athlete he is? How often do you see JR hurt?
Yeah.
He don't get hurt.
Right. Never.
You're right. This is a dude with $1 billion body and a nickel's worth of brains. He's like Brock Lesnar or something. He's like a dude with this incredible athletic ability. And you know what happens to you? You get knocked out and you go back to fake wrestling. So what happens to you? So anyway, yeah, go on to the next player, man. Just J.R. Smith talk is depressing.
I think it's a good call. I I felt like that was the right analysis. Mike Miller, next dude on the list, I gave him a C minus, which is probably generous, but to be honest, he didn't play a couple of the games, and he didn't play a lot of minutes. Say again?
C minus.
Yeah, I gave him a C minus.
You gave a passing grade to a dude who cannot play at all.
I had, what? I'll tell you this. For all of the tomfoolery and clownishness of J.R. Smith and all of the bad decision-making of Dellavedova, while those two dudes were trying to actively give the game away, Mike Miller came in spots just to be the inbounder and was able to do it effectively, which isn't a tall order for an NBA player. But clearly there were at least 3 dudes on that roster who were in the rotation who couldn't do it effectively. So, and he came in and played in spots. I mean, what do you want? Mike Miller's like 35, 36 years old or something like that. He's done. He's washed up. The knees are bad. The jump shot's not there. One of those games, he played a bunch of minutes and he was okay. Very efficient, very mistake-free. So, I give him that much credit. He didn't hurt the team. I'll put it that way. And he's one of the few dudes who came in who didn't hurt the team. So,
I'm gonna give you some credit. And you know what? You may get that promotion yet, Greg. No, that was impressive, dude. And you know what? I looked at the box score because you said that, because I was trying to think of the times he made mistakes. He only had 1 turnover in the series.
Yep.
He only had 1 turnover.
Yep.
And he didn't play much, obviously, but
right.
He played 20.
He got beat to a bunch of rebounds that if he was really in NBA shape, he'd have been able to get to.
God.
Balls fell off his hands, stuff like that.
One of the boards that somebody just snatched from him, I was like, God, Mike Miller is body he's like a broken down running back. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how he got this physically busted up.
He turned the corner real quick, didn't he?
But look, he had 1 turnover in his 28 minutes. He only had 3 fouls.
Mm-hmm.
And he that one shot in that game he played 14 minutes that he hit. And then he missed a shot in the last game. So he shot 50%. You know what? I'm going to give him a D minus. You convinced me. I'll give him a D minus and I'll pass. But I'm going to tell you like this. You know who gets an F minus? Again, the GM. That clown that gave David Blatt a vote of confidence in midseason, that idiot. And I ain't looking up his name. I don't care what his name is. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. But yeah, okay. Dude, are we done with the bench? That's the whole bench, right?
That's it. That's the bench. On to the starters. I guess.
Timothy Mozgov, man. Start at the 5, dude.
All right. Mozgov, I had to give him a B+. He wasn't doing anything extraordinarily special. He wasn't like Ewing out there, but he did everything right, and he beat the out of the front court of the Golden State Warriors. Anytime he got minutes, he had a 28-point game. Mozgov is never supposed to get a 28-point game ever.
He never had.
No, it's a career. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So I had to give him a B+. He was eating boards in the last game. He was blocking shots. He was playing in the paint. They took all his minutes away. Only played him 9 minutes in like the game following the 28-point or something like that, under 10 for sure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
that's right.
And came back. He's the type of guy that you do that to a guy, and then all of a sudden he's supposed to be off track. He's not supposed to be able to regain his composure. He came back the next game, still with the diminished role, undeservingly diminished, but came out and played a fantastic game for the minutes he was in there. So I got to give him a B+. I think after James and Tristan, he was their best player.
You know what? This is one of those where I'm a lot more generous to you. I gave Timothy Mozgov an A.
Wow.
I did.
That's believable.
Well, and here's the thing. Everybody knows, everybody out there watching Senior Basketball Analyst knows. I said before the series, Timothy Mozgov can't play. I still am not impressed necessarily with his skill set, but here's what he did. He's 7'2" with the wingspan. He's got decent feet. Not great, but decent feet because he's 7'2", so he's not going to move that quick.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got decent feet. He's got good hands. You know, in the pick and roll, he was solid. He set good screens without setting illegal screens.
Mm-hmm.
He boarded, not out of space, but he boarded in space. He was strong.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing: they didn't have a real five, so you know they didn't have the they didn't have the they didn't have someone playing his position to go against him because Golden State that's their weakness. They actually didn't think they were going to get this far, so they didn't build the roster right. They didn't. So they got this cadaver named Andrew Bogut sitting there at center, and Timofey Mozgov is just beating him about the face and chest, and there's nothing he can do about it. And see, since Timofey is also white, they're not going to just let him do what he does to Dwight Howard. He couldn't get away with any of that stuff against Timofey Mozgov. So he was helpless. But Bogut was literally helpless against this dude.
Yep.
The reason I'm giving Timofey an A is because he can't play no better than that. This in fact was the best basketball we'll probably ever see about. I don't know that they ever 28 again. This was Timofey Mozgov came to hoop, and what his coaching staff did to him, by basically benching him for no reason. I don't know if that's a league mandate and it's a Hassan Whiteside situation where it's just like we're not doing this center sit thing in the NBA. We're not doing that. I don't know if it came down from the league offices. Maybe LeBron and Tyronn Lue just messed up.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never heard of a guy getting 28 points and then basically being benched the next game. And it certainly doesn't make any sense to bench him because Golden State panicked and had to bench their center. That doesn't make any sense at all. That's not an appropriate response to a dude like going out there and just wrecking shop. That's not an appropriate response. Well, thanks for that 28 points. Now you're not playing anymore.
Right.
But to stay on topic with just this isn't about the coaching, it's about Timofey. Timofey Mozgov came to hoop. He averaged 14 and 7.5 over the series, even with that game where he got sabotaged by his coaching staff. A block and a half with an assist, 2.5 turnovers. He shot 55% from the field, 28 minutes. That's as good as it's going to get from Timofey Mozgov, and I'm proud of the dude. I'm proud of him because it's good to see when a dude gets his opportunity on a biggest stage and he goes out there and he's ready to go. And I can't say enough about the dude, man. He gets an A. Timofey Mozgov came to hoop.
Yeah. All right. I'm with that. Tristan Thompson, right? Moving on. We're going down the list, right?
The 4, Tristan Thompson, my guy. Tristan Thompson.
You probably gonna give him a better grade than me too here. Even though I gave him a B+. I mean, obviously the rebounding was as good as we've ever seen in the finals, to be honest, from a guy his caliber, right? The amount of times he got the offensive rebounds and kept plays alive. Cleveland, which is just so terrible to Cleveland, like everybody but LeBron. No, even LeBron shot terrible, actually. But that team shot so badly that they were getting third and fourth efforts on the offensive glass, and Tristan Thompson was like 2 or 3 of those 4 offensive possessions just by himself. I mean, that was so impressive. So I give him great credit for that. He didn't score enough. I think the first 2 games of the series, he had 2 points in each of those games. And there were only a couple games, I think 2 of the games where he was above 10 or something like that, right? So I just need him to be a little bit more of a presence. Like, you get the offensive rebound and get a stick back. But clearly he wasn't doing that, right? Clearly it's a rebound. He gathers. He looks for where to – and maybe that's LeBron's script, right? Maybe LeBron made it perfectly clear that anytime anybody touches the ball for more than 2 seconds, it comes back to me. Maybe that was the game plan.
That's the system.
that's the system, right? That's the rule. That's how it works.
You know what? If 2K, and I'm serious about this, and I know I'm interrupting you, so I'm going.
No, go ahead. That's really the gist of it. Go ahead.
But 2K, look, 2K needs a LeBron playbook. That would be awesome. And where the plays come back to him, if something don't happen right away, it resets to him in the middle of the shot clock. Like LeBron backs down, backs down, draws a double, kicks it to you. Then if you get it and don't have an opportunity right away, you give it right back to LeBron. That would be awesome, man. Did you have anything else on Tristan?
Nah, go ahead. B+. That's what I gave.
Basically the same grade. I gave him A minus. Tristan, I think Tristan getting double figures and shooting 50% is good enough. He got 10 a game.
Yeah.
He shot 50%. We know he crashed the boards like a madman, 13 rebounds. Again, I give out an A when the dude did everything he could do. I mean, if you had said before the series started Tristan Thompson was going to get 10 and 13, he's going to get basically a block and a steal, you say, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Like we're going to get 10 and 13 out of him. Tristan Thompson is there's old school elements to his game, but he really does need to polish his offensive game up. He some of the jump hooks he missed in the paint were ridiculous misses.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to polish his game up. But in terms of, my grading criterion is, did the guy fulfill his role and then do it as well as he could do it? And to me, Tristan Thompson gave you an A+ effort,
Mm-hmm.
and he gave me an A+ effort almost all the time. So I gave him an A-. I thought Tristan Thompson played really well, which again, that's basically the same thing you gave him. So we're in agreement with Tristan Thompson.
Yeah. All right. The man, the greatest player in the history.
How much do we even want to talk about this? Like,
I don't either. Look, it's an A+. I don't know what else he was supposed to do. Back to you, senior basketball analyst. I mean, you do LeBron, man.
All right. No, you're right. Look, fine. I'll take it because it's my show. I'll take it. LeBron. There's a lot of. I'm going to talk a little bit about the advanced statistics guys and the guys that are. No, see, I know we've been talking about this efficiency and calling everybody that isn't efficient a piece of garbage, but let me tell you why LeBron's inefficiency really equals efficiency. Okay, see, let me tell you guys why you're full of crap, okay? And here's the thing, to be clear. I love how there's this thing going on in the United States where we don't want to listen to any of the experts on anything in terms of math or science unless it's some sports thing, and then all of a sudden we got to go get some guy from MIT to go be general manager of a baseball team. So when you dump a bunch of oil into the ocean, who cares what the scientists say? That was awesome. But then we go in and getting some egghead who don't know anything about baseball, but because he could fill out a spreadsheet, now all of a sudden he's general manager. No, he just went to college with the owner's son, okay? And we're trying to find some excuse for doing this. The fact of the matter is you got to watch the games. Then you don't need any of that garbage if you watch the game and know what you're looking at. LeBron James, again, I'm calling it the Wilt Chamberlain plan, which I took from Jalen Rose. LeBron James was like Galactus, right? Mm-hmm. So he descends upon the court, and then he throws his tendrils into the wood, and then he starts sucking the life out of the game. And now you may beat him back, so the Golden State Warriors all come and charge onto the court, and they all hit him with everything they got, and the Human Torch is flying circles around him, and the thing's punching him in the toe, and then maybe the Incredible Hulk hits him in the face, and then he goes, ow, and then he goes, I will come back some other time, and then he flies away. He ain't dead. He just said, okay, fine, humans, you have won this round, and then he flies away. That's what happened here. You send your little Iguodala out, our guy, you send that dude out. He said, this dude averaged 35.8 points per game, 13.3 rebounds, more than Tristan Thompson, 8.8 assists. You know what that means? That means he averaged more points, rebounds, and assists than anybody in the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
One guy.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything like that.
No one has. No one alive our age has ever seen anything like that.
No, of course not. Like, look, unless you saw Wilt,
yeah,
you ain't seen nothing like that. And so and this is what and just to speak on what he did specifically. The LeBron James, the Galactus offense. That's what they call it, Galactus playbook. The Galactus playbook is I back down the entire clock. I back the entire clock down, draw a double, kick it. Then when it comes back to me, I either shoot a 3 from 30 or I drive it to the front of the rim. And then if I miss it, I rebound it and stick it back in. And he did that basically for an entire series.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of energy that it took to do that and play lockdown defense and apparently get all the rebounds, the amount of energy it took. I mean, of course he was exhausted by the end of Game 6. And what's a shame, the shame of this was if Cleveland had a real roster, Golden State would have gotten annihilated. It would not have been close. They would have had no chance. But because they had no roster, their roster was clownish. The guys that we just gave A's to are not NBA starters. Neither one of them. They're not.
Yeah.
This dude was playing without a starting lineup.
Yeah.
And, you know, point forward, point everything. He was playing all the positions.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you can't say enough about what he did. Again, lockdown defense, absorbing his team's entire shot clock, crashing both backboards. It was amazing. And you know what? We won't see it again because he ain't gonna be out there with a stupid roster like that again. The closest thing I ever saw to this, and this is just to educate the young cats listening to this program. You know, I'm not gonna be like these ESPN people and steer you wrong. I'm gonna tell you about some things and what this means historically. Kevin Garnett used to jump center for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Mm-hmm.
He would tap it to somebody. That dude would pass the ball back to him. He would bring it over the timeline. He would pass it to somebody else, set a screen for that guy, roll, catch it, and dunk the ball. He used to play all 5 positions in one play. And then he'd go on the defensive end and he'd guard everybody too. Except that wasn't in the finals. back then we were at the tail end of the golden age of basketball, and that one-man gang BS didn't work. Now you can pull that kind of stuff, as LeBron just showed you. Back then you couldn't do that. And to be clear, the kind of stats LeBron James had in this series, you know, Garnett would have 25 a game, but he'd also shoot 50%. LeBron shot 40. Garnett could have shot 40% and he'd scored 35 points. He could easily done that.
Mm-hmm.
Garnett would, over the course of a season, give you 25 points, 14 rebounds, give you a couple of blocks, a steal, 5 assists.
5 assists, yeah.
So I'm not exaggerating. When Garnett was in the MVP era of his career, he was that good. So this is the closest thing. That's the closest thing I've seen to this, except Garnett wasn't doing this like mental thing where he's like figured out, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna absorb the shot clocks, and then I'm gonna make sure that we crash in the board such that they can't run. And he wasn't doing that, and that's the wrinkle to this that makes it so impressive. So yeah. LeBron James, obviously an A+ all-time great Hall of Fame performance, and frankly, that has cemented his legacy, because I've been checking out just some of the things people are saying about him. That has catapulted him into the top 5 discussion now, all time. This is the performance that did it, and it's well warranted because it's about time. LeBron James has been an all-time great now for a few years, and he deserves it. It's just a shame that it was wasted on a pitiful piece of garbage franchise like Cleveland Cavaliers. It's a shame. It'd have been nice if he had done it for a real franchise. So That's all I have to say about LeBron. I mean, if you have anything to add to it, otherwise we can go on.
No, I'll say this. I like your point about this cementing the legacy because I think, to be honest, and I brought this up before about LeBron being a great player but not really a great winner. And I think he's 2 for 6, I want to say, in the finals now. 1-2, lost 4. And I think this has actually turned my opinion on that a little bit. I still think you compare him to like a Michael Jordan, and I think, for as great of players as they both were, I think Michael Jordan had a way of getting more out of role players and guys. Because, Jordan he always had Scottie. So let me just take it off the table.
Wait.
Never gone into
let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You think a guy getting less assists that his teammates hate is getting more out of his teammates than LeBron gets?
I do. And you know who else is
Can you
kind of like
please supply me with some evidence of that? Why do you think that? I don't understand that at all.
Here's the thing. I think LeBron makes the team culture great, and everybody has a great time, and they do the dances and the awesome WWE style intros and stuff when they're coming into the arena and in the huddle and all that with the multiple hand slaps and the stuff, and but like but I think that's great, and I think that makes a great atmosphere, and it's what makes guys like James Jones want to stick around way past the expiration date and continue to play. But I think he has a tendency to have that black hole effect, similar to Kobe Bryant, actually, the way that he does the Galactus thing. And I don't think that's great for your team. I think guys get stuck watching a lot, and I think guys second-guess their ability to, for instance, Tristan Thompson. I think there's absolutely a protocol that says if you get the offensive rebound, you really need to think hard about going back up with it, because probably you're going back up with it is not as good a shot as if you give it to me, LeBron, and then I just reset the offense and do what I'm going to do, right? So I think that's kind of how it goes, and I think a lot of guys defer to him in a way, as they should, right? He's no question the highest percentage opportunity to be successful on offense comes through him. But I think what happens is then when you see it when he goes off the court, nobody else knows how to play basketball, and partly that's a function of the roster. But we saw the same thing happen to Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh when he was in Miami, right? Like he stunts the ability of other guys to be effective in the same way that you don't see from other guys, right?
I don't think Bosh was stunned. I think Bosh was stunned, but I don't think Wade was stunned at all. And don't you think that this effect that you're talking about has more to do with the coaching than it does him? Because
Probably so.
Michael Jordan played for Doug Collins, Phil Jackson, and Doug Collins.
Mm-hmm. In the triangle offense, no less, right? And alongside Scottie Pippen. So it is a very different thing. I'm making some, not fair, apples to oranges kind of comparisons in terms of
because here's my point. I don't think this team, if you flip-flop Michael Jordan in his prime, put him with this team, I don't think they get to the finals. I don't think they do.
I don't think they do either, because LeBron does so much more than Michael Jordan in terms of rebounding, in terms of rebounding for sure, in terms of being the post presence, being able to essentially play the center on offense, really, all that stuff. So yeah, I think LeBron covers a multitude of gaps that Jordan doesn't. But anyhow, actually my original point though, and I kind of got distracted in my own, spieling about LeBron's holes. But I think this is great. I actually like seeing him lose this way, because I think this is a little more telling of how great he is, right? Had he done just a standard 30-8 kind of performance, which is standard for him in the playoffs, that would not have told the story of why he's possibly the greatest player to ever play. And he's really changed my opinion of him in some important respects, because I think this is really much more impressive than anything I've ever seen, and much different than anything I've ever seen. I think it really pinpoints how inefficient and derelict that roster is, and ineffective they were, and incapable of being productive. and he kind of still made it a game. He almost won that series. He really did. He almost won that series, which is crazy. And I didn't give him a chance. I didn't give him going into it. I think I said to you guys, LeBron by himself maybe steals 3 games. I didn't think he was going to do what he did and almost steal them in the way that he did. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
you know what I think that you changing your mind, or not changing your mind completely, but you amending your opinion of him at this stage of his career. I think that a lot of people that know basketball feel the same way you do. I think a lot of people felt like, man, I was not aware that not just that he could do that. I wasn't aware anybody
could do it. Right, have that much of an impact on the game, right? Like
So I think that we're gonna have some discussions during the off season, over the summer about all-time greats, and we can get into more we could get into this discussion more, because I want to revisit this issue of, like, is LeBron sucking the life out of his own teammates as well? Mm-hmm. Or I should say, not the life out of them, sucking the game out of them.
Yeah.
So we do need to revisit that, and I think a lot of that has to do with coaching, but we can debate that then.
Yeah.
So
So last 2 guys on the roster, right? So Iman Shumpert.
The Shump.
These last 2 guys actually were the toughest grades for me, because I want to say I was pleased with Shumpert because he played some hellacious defense. Dude was out there killing it on D.
He's an elite defender. He's an elite defender.
He is. But his offense was so terrible. It's so bad. It's so bad. I had to give him a C. I had to give him a C, which is really bad. That was tough to do because the defense was spot on. He made Clay disappear a couple games, completely disappear. But he averaged, I looked it up earlier, 6.5 points, almost 4 rebounds, 25% shooting. And basically he was shooting standstill jump shots. And when he drove the lane, he wasn't really effective doing that either. And he was reluctant to do it. Mm-hmm. And then didn't hit the 3 ball that much or his free throws that much. So I mean, that kills you. That kills you. I mean, you needed a guy to step up. And I remember we had kind of this thing earlier on about, will Shump outplay Klay Thompson? And I think the answer is, yeah, they kind of mitigated each other a little bit, because Klay didn't have a great series. I think he averaged like 15, 16 points. And Shumpert was the reason why. There were plenty of plays where going through a screen or just man up or keeping Klay out in the lane or whatever, he's slapping balls off of guys and coming away with steals, all that stuff. So he was fantastic. But they really needed him to get more than like 10 points most of the nights, and he didn't most nights. So you can't even get 10 in the starting lineup playing almost 30 minutes a night. You got to do more, and they needed it, and that's one of the big reasons why they weren't able to be productive or score points or keep pace. So I had to give him a C.
I was harsher on him. I gave him a C minus. I think he was that bad offensively. He was that bad, and we talked about in my prediction. I had Cleveland in 6, and part of it was predicated upon Shump having a Shumpert game. I needed one 20-point game out of him, and the dude gave me one 10-point game.
Right.
And yeah, the 26% from the field is just, I mean, that's atrocious. It really is. It's atrocious. Shump is the flip-flop. He's the opposite of a guy that can score and doesn't guard his man. He's the opposite. He's a lockdown defender, which is more important than offense. But he's so bad offensively, he hurts you. He's so bad. And Shumpert, I'm going to tell you what Shumpert is. Again, I gave him a C minus. I almost gave him a D because he's not like Tony Allen where he's like offense neutral. Like, he's offense deficit. He's bad. And for a guy like Shumpert needs to take a look at a hometown guy for us, Jimmy G. Buckets, Jimmy Butler. he's got to take a page out of Jimmy Butler's book. Iman Shumpert is every bit as physically gifted as Jimmy Butler. He's a little quicker. He's not quite as strong, but he's a little quicker. He jump out the gym. He's a better defender. He's actually a better defender than Jimmy Butler. Yeah. Because the stuff he's doing now, Shumpert, before he was a Michael Kidd Gilchrist style defender where he's got good athletic ability. He will slide his feet. He will challenge, and give an effort. But now he's starting to become a dude where it ain't safe to dribble near him. You try to backdoor him, he steals it. Like, he doesn't slap stuff away. He just takes it. Like, he's become an elite defender. And he did it pretty quickly, too. He's become elite. Tony Allen was not this good at this point in his career. Tony Allen was still getting pumped in the air by Chauncey Billups and falling into him and stuff. Tony Allen was not like this at this stage of his career. He's on his way to being a Tony Allen-style defender. But he has to work on his ball handling. He has to work on his shooting. He's throwing tens of millions of dollars away. I'm telling you, one summer on his ball handling and shooting, he'd be a star. He'd be one of the best shooting guards in the league because defensively, it's all there. Defensively, he's incredible. It's incredible. So, and yes, he made Clay. When we get to Clay, I'm a lambaste this dude. He made Clay. Oh, he's the second best shooting guard at bat. First of all, Klay Thompson can't hold Jimmy Bucket's jock. He can't hold Jimmy Bucket's jock. Do I need to go and pull up Jimmy Butler's statistics against Cleveland? He didn't look like this. Klay Thompson, man. Man, Fugazi is what they, man, back in the day, rappers used to say that, man, Fugazi, man. Anyway. But yeah, Iman Shumpert, I can't have you where you're such a limited threat offensively that you're hurting the team. That's the problem. If Iman Shumpert was a guy that, again, was more like a Tony Allen, was kind of offense neutral, then it would be fine. It would be fine. He'd be a B to A player. But the problem is he hurts you. He drags his great defense down by hurting you offensively. So, I'm disappointed in Shump. I'm disappointed in him because he's not working on his game. That's the problem. He's just not doing it. It's the same as a dude that can score but don't guard nobody. It's the same thing, man. He's just doing it in reverse. It's the same thing. And now the white supremacist favorite, man. They favorite. They love him because he goes on the court and hurts black guys. They love him. Andrew Dellavedovich. Get it.
No.
Oh, man, it's Matthew. Man. I actually didn't do that on purpose.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead, man.
I had a tough time with this one too.
I don't know why.
He's got the worst lob pass in the history of basketball. I've harped on this.
Don't be a hack, dude. That's the first thing that comes up if you Google him, man. Don't be a hack.
Is it? Because I feel like I was the first one to say it. I feel like I've been talking.
You said it first, but now everybody's it's the first thing that comes up if you Google him. First thing.
He's terrible. It's so terrible. Anyhow, but even accepting for that, here's the thing. Here's what made this tough for me. Kyrie Irving played a fantastic game one. Dellavedova didn't play many minutes. I was surprised by that because I thought they were going to just continue to lavish great amounts of minutes and playing time on this guy, regardless of what Kyrie Irving's situation was. So he didn't play much. Wasn't really a factor in game one.
Oh, man, there is a movie about him being made. Hilarious. Anyway, go ahead.
Is there really?
Yeah.
I thought that was a joke. I thought somebody was making it anyhow.
I think that was a joke, but it is.
Wow.
I'm looking at it right now.
Wow. So here's the thing. Games 2 and 3, he played extremely well, I thought. All told, he played extremely well. One of those games was a 22-point game. And I think what they flashed on the screen was before Mozgov. Not that this is a big deal. But undrafted guys scoring 20 points in the finals had never happened, or two other guys had done it. So he did it, and then Mozgov did it the very next game. But the point is...
Okay, I'll bite. What does that mean?
Nothing. No, nothing.
Well, then why'd you say it?
Because...
We know ESPN. No. Wait a minute.
They flashed it on the teleprompter, dude.
Senior Basketball Analyst, man. This is not ESPN. This is not inside the NBA and those hacks.
Fair point. Fair
Talk
point.
about basketball, man. We're not talking about any random factoid I can pull out of my behind to pretend like this means something.
But
If
dude,
it don't mean nothing, don't say it.
but LeBron was doing handshakes, and that's important. I gave LeBron credit for his handshakes.
First of all, you mentioned that in passing, and you notice I didn't follow up on it because it ain't got nothing to do with anything.
All right. Okay. All right. My real point though is in the 22-point game that he had, he was super important. He hit the and one that was really Steph Curry's bad defense. But the point is, he made all the buckets. When I was doing my original analysis of prediction of what I thought the series was going to be, I figured Kyrie Irving was going to hit some big shots down the stretch that were going to win them the game.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out it was just Dellavedova. It was the same. The point guard ended up getting buckets that Steph Curry shouldn't have allowed to happen and made some bad mistakes defensively. Ended up being an and one. In game 2, the other game that they won.
You think that he did that stuff on purpose?
Well, he did it. I don't know. He did it. And it was 22 points of him doing it.
What did he shoot
before that?
What did he shoot in the series?
Hold on. I'm sure I wrote it down. No, I didn't. 27%. No, 31, I bet.
28.
28. Okay, there you go.
So I'm saying.
So wait, all right, so let me give the grade because I didn't throw the grade.
Buckets that he meant to get.
Well, he hit a bunch of threes that game too. In game 2, the first game.
No, he hit 2 threes. He hit 2 threes.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. He was
like 8 points worth of shots that he threw up while falling.
Okay, I'm giving him credit
on the ground. He's not James Harden and he snaked his way through the lane and then he flipped it up, tripped over a nigga and then hit. No, I mean he fell down and threw it. The refs called a foul because he's white, and it went in.
No, Steph fouled. The refs called a foul because Steph is a terrible defender and he hacked the dude who was falling down in the middle of the lane.
I agree with just the Steph's a terrible defender part. Those weren't fouls. Dellavedova fell on the ground. He just was falling. But anyway.
He does a lot. Anyhow, my point though is this.
So what are you rating him as?
All of that said, 2 games that I really give him credit for being the catalyst for pushing them over the hump and winning. He still gets a C- from me, which you probably gave him worse. But I mean, you think he hit the game-winning free throws in game 1 in overtime, game 2 in overtime, and then he hit all those shots in the fourth quarter and outplayed Steph Curry in game 2.
Why are those free throws more important than any free throws?
They're not. They're just the rebound, the offensive rebound that he got, which he was going for the tip and was
that was a very good play. I agree.
Yeah.
That was one good play.
So that was the play. He got fouled on it, and then he hit the free throws. So I'm saying that
was a good play.
Yeah. So my point is this: he played 2 games, in my opinion, that were super important. There's part in those games were a big part of why they were able to win them.
In the non-20-point game, what did he do? I'm looking at it, by the way. I'm cheating, but what did he do?
In game 2, you're talking about?
Yeah, in game 2. Because you got to be talking about game 2 and 3 because those are games that won.
Those are the only 2 games that I think he had.
What did he do in game 2?
I think he finished with like 11 points and 2 assists, maybe. I don't know.
9 points.
Yeah.
1 assist. 30% from the field. 1 3.
That's about right.
6 turnovers.
That's about right. Hey, but check this out. Check this out. In that same game, Steph Curry had 6 turnovers too. Steph Curry had 6 turnovers in both of those games.
We ain't talking about Steph Curry right now.
My point is, even in those games, in those 2 games, I thought he did a particularly good job of chasing Steph Curry around threes, taking him outside of what he wanted to do offensively until they figured it out. Because then, obviously, they figured it out in game 4, and they said, hey, Steph Curry, and we called it on this show beforehand, run ISO for Steph Curry and let him just take that dude apart. And he did, and it was over, and he killed it, and we never heard of Dellavedova the rest of the series. So
yeah, wasn't it nice how they just stopped talking about him, and then like first he was the legend, then they just stopped talking about him.
Yep.
No, you're not going to tell me how terrible he is? Really?
Right. Now that he's getting chewed up and missing threes and throwing bad lobs and airballing layups.
Well, to be clear, he was already missing the threes. He wasn't hitting nothing anyway.
So anyhow, my grade is a C-, and that's really because he I felt like I got to give him some credit for those 2 games that he played that I think he played really well in. As a fill-in guy, against the MVP, he held his own. In fact, I think he outplayed Steph Curry, in my opinion. Like I said, 7 out of the 8 quarters in those 2 games. Steph had a fantastic fourth quarter in Game 3 where they almost came back, but for the most part, Dellavedova outplayed him. And I couldn't give him less than, just below average, but still below average, but just below it.
You're talking about a dude scoring single digits, and you're saying you saying that he was outplaying Curry. Like not Curry wasn't really disappointing. You're saying he was actually he was playing better than Curry.
I think in the parts of the game
where all of the stupid stuff he was doing.
I think what I'm saying is I am giving him credit for winning the games, right? In the points where the games matter.
LeBron won those games, and Tristan Thompson won those games, and Mozgov won those games.
But again, you come up with big plays. To me, basketball, even though it's a team game, it is very one-on-one in a lot of respects.
Yeah, and when he got isolated one-on-one, he got massacred.
Yeah, except he beat him for the rebound, that offensive rebound that won the game, and he beat him for the and one that put him up by a bunch of points in the fourth quarter, in addition to a couple other plays that same game. So, I mean, that matters. That matters. That's hey, it's me and you on the court. You got to stop me from getting my shot off and scoring points. Or you got to put a body on me and keep me off the glass. And he won that matchup, and it won him the game.
What kind of okay. What kind of
I'm just saying that's important. I kind of defender got credit.
What are we calling Curry as a defender? Terrible? Is that what we're calling him?
I'm calling him pretty bad. Yes.
Okay. Pretty bad, huh?
I'm giving Curry a D+ defensive player rating.
Okay. Kind of well, a D defender held Dellavedova to 28% from the field for the series. 28.
He's bad.
He averaged 7.5 points a game. He averaged 2.5 turnovers a game with 2.7 assists. His assist to turnover ratio is almost exactly 1 as a point guard.
He's bad.
He had 15 field goals and 15 turnovers in the series. I just counted it just now. 15 turnovers and 15 field goals. His field goal to turnover ratio is 1.
Mm-hmm.
This was not even basketball. That is not basketball. If I took a good high school player and put them out there, they'd have done better than this. That was ridiculous, honestly. That was ridiculous. And if I was an NBA cat, I would be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed that the NBA just did that.
So
I'd be embarrassed.
What's your grade? I'm
compilation of just one series worth of ridiculous, where his passes are not in the vicinity of where they're supposed to go. He's not a professional he's not any kind of basketball player, frankly. He's not any kind of basketball player. He's just a guy running around on the court, occasionally doing dirty stuff. And I don't understand how he gets better than an F-. He's not a basketball player. He was just a dude running around on the court, making way too much money to not entertain anybody but some white supremacists who aren't even watching the game. They're not watching the game. Who that likes him playing would watch basketball? Nobody does that stuff but him. He's one of a kind, really. Nobody's doing that. You know why he was the only I don't know what I can say other than his numbers. 28%, 15 turnovers, 15 field goals. He got the same number of assists and same number of turnovers, same number of field goals, same number of turnovers. I've never seen anything like that. I've honestly never seen anything like that. I've never seen anybody play that bad for more than a game. Never. I mean, okay, here, you do it for me. Who's worse? Who that plays more than a game is that bad?
Yeah, he's terrible. He's all time bad in the history of finals performances, in my opinion. I'm with you. I'm with you there.
Well, there you
But
go.
I'm with you. Like I said, I
Well, I
struggle
don't
with
know
it
why
because
that's why I don't understand why he got a passing grade. I don't understand that. He got the same grade that basically the same grade we gave Shump. Shump played great on one end of the floor. This dude played like a complete doofus on both ends.
well, so I mean, I feel like he played better than James Jones and frankly better than J.R. Smith, and I gave them D's.
He's not even close to as productive as J.R. Smith. Are you kidding?
I feel
He's not
like
even close.
I feel like in game two, J.R. Smith made several plays that almost directly lost them the game.
Yeah,
Dellavedova made
Dellavedova
plays
did
that.
that in almost every game. I got it right on first try. He did
Oh,
that in almost every game.
oh, J.R. Smith did too, though. J.R. Smith did too. He made plenty of bad mistakes that cost them the game in all of those games that they actually lost. The difference is he didn't make any important plays that helped them win any of the games.
By the way, I gave JR an F also. So
Yeah, you did. You did. You did.
I gave him an F. So I am not being put in a position to defend J.R. Smith. I'm just
Well, all
he
right. So
scored twice as many points as this dude.
I could be convinced to give Dellavedova less. I don't like him. I don't like him. You know, I hate the lob passes. You know, he disappeared in the last three games of the series. Um, I think he's terrible, and I think he got exposed and all that stuff. But yeah, like I said, I struggle with it because I did want to give him some credit for those two games. I thought that was important, and I do think he, for what it's worth, was a part of taking Curry out of his game.
Here's the other thing too. I would also like to add.
Mm,
Now it's senior basketball analysis time.
ooh,
Here's what he's being asked to do. He's being asked to, when there's a screen, he's being asked to go over the screen. Now, to be clear, the strategy against Curry when Shump was guarding him was the same thing, except the help was different. When they screened, for the most part, when they screened Shump, whether it was a pin down, single double, pinch post, whatever. When they screened Shump would beat the screen. And they wouldn't help him for the most part. If he gets hung up, they're going to switch it. But for the most part, when Dellavedova gets screened, Timofey literally was following Curry. And then Iguodala is standing over on the side wide open. I don't understand that, by the way. That Timofey Mozgov guarding Iguodala thing clearly did not work.
mm.
Uh,
That was more ridiculous black calls, though, right? Like,
well,
even if they went small ball, that's not the right solution.
I don't blame Blatt. I don't blame Blatt. I don't give him any credit. I don't blame him. I don't blame Blatt. I blame LeBron. I blame Tyronn Lue. I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming him for that. And the thing is, if he's being asked to go over, and then the guy that's guarding the screener is going to follow Curry, that's not being asked to do a whole lot. That's probably the easiest guard I've given, because he's going over a screen, and a lot of times he would end up behind Curry, even though Curry was outside the three-point line. And he would be behind him because he went so wide on the screen because he's bad and lazy. And that's the other thing, too, I want to knock down. He plays hard. He doesn't play hard. He dives on the floor for balls he could have just bent over and picked up. He does not play hard. He quits on screens, routinely quits on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like a screen that Shump would have blown up, he just quits on it or falls and flops. He doesn't play hard. He played hard in a couple of spots, but overall throughout the course of the game, when I hear that and kind of nonsense, again, it's a disgrace to the game. It's a disgrace to the players. He plays harder than Goon Green. He plays harder than Shump. He plays harder than LeBron. You're just saying that because you're looking at a white guy and you just want to say stuff about him. That's the only reason anybody would say that. It's BS. It's not true. He doesn't play harder than Steph Curry. He doesn't play harder than anybody. That is nonsense. But especially when we talking about some of the basketball heroes. He played harder than Iguodala, the Finals MVP. Really, did he? He played harder than him. That is complete nonsense. And the director's cracking jokes. He said he played harder than Bogut, but Bogut's a piece of garbage. Big deal. But yeah, man. I look. I am a little annoyed by it because it's a lot of lying. And that's what I don't get. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, does he play harder than a Goon Green? Is that true? Am I wrong about that?
Nah, it's funny. Those comments didn't really bother me because I dismissed them pretty much out of hand because yeah, no, obviously he's not playing harder than anything. You know what he's doing? He flails his arms a lot, which makes people think he's like hustling and stuff. He's not really. He's just out there. But no, he doesn't. Obviously, he doesn't play harder than Iggy. Obviously, he didn't play harder than LeBron. Obviously, he didn't play harder than Tristan Thompson. I mean, he didn't out hustle guys on his own roster, let alone the guys who were beating him on possessions on the other team. So he didn't play harder than Sean Livingston, who's run around tip dunking a couple times. I mean, no, I don't think so.
That play where Sean Livingston posted him up and all 180 pounds of him like banged him all the way to the front of the rim. I was watching that and I was thinking, look, to be clear about this, because we always got to be clear because so many people say so many stupid things about sports. I'm not saying you sitting at home go run up on Sean Livingston. That's foolish. Not saying that. But in terms of NBA players, Sean Livingston's got to be one of the least physically strong. He's just got to be. Like, the dude is just not a strong guy. He's just not. Relative to them. Man, he banged Dellavedova, that clown. He banged him all the way to the front of the rim. That was ridiculous. And I was watching it, and I said, this dude doesn't even understand basic things about leverage. Like, he has not been taught. I don't know who was coaching this, because this dude, he has been on basketball teams for some reason. What was he being taught? Because how do you not hold your ground against Sean Livingston? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
It's one thing if he turns and just shoots over you because you have no athletic ability. I get it. But when Sean Livingston is banging you underneath the rim like he's Zach Randolph, what effort? What playing hard? What are you talking about? Mark Jackson? What are you talking about, Jeff Van Gundy? What are you talking about? Like, seriously, show me the plays where he was playing so much harder than everybody else. Because, everybody else is just lazy. Are they also thugs and from the ghetto? Like what are you talking about? What are you talking about with that? So, I didn't think he really did much right other than that rebound. That rebound was a real NBA basketball play. Other than that, he was getting a lot of help, and Steph Curry was just playing like garbage and self-checked. I mean, he just was playing like garbage. And I was glad that guys like Rick Bucher, who in the past I've watched his basketball analysis and thought that he was completely out to lunch. But maybe since he left ESPN, he found religion. He was talking about Dellavedova. Seriously, he was talking about Dellavedova after Game 3, and he said, Are we serious with this? He shut down Steph Curry. He said, Are we serious with that? And that's where I heard about the Mike and Mike tweet. He said they sent out this tweet.
I hadn't heard about this. What is this?
Mike and Mike in the morning, the two least basketball savvy guys in the world, had their intern send out this tweet about with the statistics when Steph Curry was being guarded by Dellavedova. Now, they have not updated it since. Don't worry about that. But it was some nonsense. And I was like, first of all, you idiot. He's never isolated on Steph Curry. That's just a stupid statistic anyway. Like, he's not being left on an island to check him. But the other thing was, why are you acting like, and Rick Bucher was just like, why are you acting like he said, I actually read an article that was titled Dellavedova shuts down Steph Curry. He said, what are you talking about? Like, did you? He said, I think if you said that, he said, I don't think you watched the game. Like, if you really think that Dellavedova just glued himself to Steph Curry, and you know what? I'll give you an example. The defense that Mike Conley was playing before he like got weight drained and died. During the middle of the series, Mike Conley just died and that was it. But the defense he was playing on him, where he was just chesting him up and preventing him from getting his shots off, that was defense. That's shutting someone down.
Mm-hmm.
Going over a screen and then having a dude, and I sent y'all the screenshot. LeBron is standing directly behind you, so Steph don't know where to go. That's not shutting someone down. That's just being in the vicinity when the guy didn't score. That's all that is. So that to me, I don't think he did anything. I don't think he did anything. I think the numbers reflected too. I think the numbers did a very good job of reflecting this dude's ineptitude at playing professional basketball. I really do. And here's the thing. It's not going to matter because he's a restricted free agent. Somebody's going to offer him a pile of money. He'll go somewhere and ruin their team the way Jeremy Lin did. Hey, everybody remember Linsanity? Remember that? You know what Linsanity means? It means you're insane if you think this dude's good at basketball. That's what it means. I think it'll be the same thing, except there's one problem. Jeremy Lin's probably 10 times better than this dude. Because Jeremy Lin at least has some basketball skill set. This dude has none. He has nothing to offer a basketball team other than he can physically wear the jersey because he got 2 arms. Other than that, he ain't got nothing going for him. He's not even like a smart player or anything. He's dumb as bricks. He's really stupid too. To point guard, he bring the ball up the court on his own. Have fun with that. So let's break here. Let's break here and then roll into GSW. So we're gonna do a part 2. We're gonna grade GSW, and this is gonna be a lot more fun because Golden State has what's that called when you assemble a group of players and then you put them on the court and tell them to play basketball? A roster. They got a roster. Since Golden State has a real roster, we're going to have a lot more fun getting to talk about some guys that can actually play as opposed to having to hand out 3 A's, a C, and then a bunch of F's. So yeah, Senior Basketball Analyst, the Cleveland NBA Finals report card, and that's it.